Alabama, where you just don't want to live. It's a beautiful place in the South, but some of these towns, you don't want to live there. You don't want to move there. These are the places in Alabama where you don't want to move. It's not the place to be. What's up, everybody? This is Jose from Southern Life. Get that in there. So this little squirrel hunter, you're not allowed to have this in California. Today, we're going to look at the top 10 worst places to live in Alabama. Overall, Alabama is a beautiful state with friendly people, and I have loved my time here in Alabama. And it is a great state, and there are regions of the state that are amazing. But this video is about the places you may want to avoid. And if you're from one of these towns, you don't have to be offended. You don't have to be mad at me. I'm not saying that the people are bad. I'm saying that there's no work opportunities. The crime rate is high. And it's just a place where the structures have been abandoned. There hasn't been a lot of investment. So don't be mad at me for making a YouTube video about the condition your town is in. Be mad at the companies that are not investing into your community and the people in the community that are raising the crime rates and making it an undesirable place to live. Now, my list does have a lot of the towns that other lists on the internet have, with a few adjustments as usual. And the good thing is, your town doesn't have to be on this list forever. As I see more of Alabama and as I learn more about the state and as places become better, some places become worse, we could definitely change this list and your town could be off the list. So doesn't mean it's the end of the world because your town's on this list. It's just an opportunity for your town to become better.
Why would you make a video about my state making it look bad?
Well, because people are moving to Alabama, and that's a great thing. And these are the top 10 places you should really think hard if you're thinking about moving to Alabama. Now, the only thing more insane than the crime rate in Fairfield, Alabama, is the interior of this Ford Crown Vic. So for the people questioning the motive of why we make these videos, it's to help people who are moving. It's not to make Alabama look bad. It's to help the people that are moving to Alabama. Make sure they end up in good places so they don't go back to wherever they came from and think that the entire state of Alabama is like these places. Now, number 10, Fairfield, is in fact the highest crime, the most hood, and probably the most undesirable urban area in the entire state of Alabama. So why would it only be number 10? The reason it's only number 10 is because it's still part of the Birmingham metro area, and you have a lot of good things you could do living here. And again, this isn't the top 10 places you should move to. This is the top 10 places you should not move to. But it is part of the Birmingham metro area, and there are good things to do in the area. So I think that makes it better, because a lot of these lists, people think that crime is the only thing that matters on these lists, and it's not. It's part of the Birmingham metro area. There are things to do in the area. Some of these places, like number 9, Camp Hill, are kind of in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do, making it absolutely worse. Now, Camp Hill is somewhat close to Auburn, but within the immediate vicinity, there's nothing there. One of my subscribers says that the town is run by drug dealers and that most people have moved away. Statistics confirm that many people are moving away. And when I did share this video, I did this video in Alabama. It's actually been one of my most famous, most popular videos that I've done in Alabama, since the people of this town were very upset of my honest review about this town. And I appreciate that there's still people that care about this town. Unfortunately, the town, this is the main strip of the town, and the back streets don't get any better. While the people are very sensitive about their town, they get easily offended about their town being mentioned in any negative way. And I respect that there's pride for the town, and that's always a good thing that they're holding on to that. But that doesn't change the fact that the town is in unacceptable condition. And I love old homes, and I actually enjoyed going here because there's so many abandoned houses, and I'm a sucker for stuff like that, real Americana. Unfortunately, the town has a lot to work on, and it's probably not a place you want to move to, but the people there seem to care about their city. Number 8 is Demopolis. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this one right. This little town is close to Mississippi. It's a region of Alabama where there really ain't much going on. And again, this video is not an attack on the people that live in these towns. We're talking about the structures, we're talking about the crime rates, we're talking about employment opportunities, we're talking about environmental issues. We're talking about a lot more than just the people here. We're not talking down on the people of these towns. In fact, I love going to these towns because sometimes the people there are so genuine, but it doesn't change the reality of the hardships they're facing. The landscape of the city is dominated by a giant cement plant that's just about the size of the town almost. And what a horrible place to live next to a cement plant. The town has really rundown houses and businesses. But they do have a Walmart, they do have a Jack's, and they have a barbecue place called A Slab and More Barbecue, rated really high. And I definitely recommend when you go to these small little towns that you leave some money behind. They could definitely use it, especially those businesses that are trying, especially this little barbecue place. When I go to this town, I'm definitely going to try this barbecue place. It looks amazing. It's called A Slab and More Barbecue, and I love to explore rural, obsolete places, so this is a town I'm definitely going to check out soon. Number 7 is Bessemer, part of the Birmingham metropolitan area. This one is very similar to Fairfield. They're in the same region of the Birmingham metropolitan area, and it's just in rough shape. It's hard to even imagine which one of these towns is worse. Probably in condition, Fairfield is worse, but at least it's closer to the good stuff in Birmingham. This Bessemer is a little bit further out. Either way, none of these towns, it's kind of, to dispute which one's worse, it doesn't matter. These are just towns you really don't want to move to. And there's a lot of good stuff in the Birmingham area. In fact, I think it's one of the most underrated cities in the country. I actually enjoy Birmingham more than I do Atlanta recently, especially in the world of 2020, where stuff's getting locked down and all that. I actually enjoy the Birmingham area a lot. If you've never been to the Birmingham area, I definitely recommend it. So that's why I'm not going to be too hard on Bessemer and Fairfield, because they are in a great general area. They're just the worst part of this Birmingham metropolitan area. So, you know, some people have to live in places like this. Is the other thing. A lot of people don't have the ability to be able to afford to live in decent neighborhoods, and they have to live in neighborhoods where they may not be the nicest looking neighborhoods, but it's all they can afford. Number 6, it's Hurtsboro. Now, this town is pretty much located in the middle of nowhere. When I went here to do my videos, it was very hostile. In fact, even though I did a drive-through of this town, I didn't even want to put it on the internet. I felt that the people were so hostile as I was driving through their town doing my video, that posting the video on the internet would just kind of, I knew the video would blow up because the locals would get all type of emotion about it, but I figured, you know what, if it's just a miserable place, I don't even want to get my hands dirty with it. I know when I make a video in a place, and I can already start in my mind to see the comments from the locals saying stuff like, you came to my town and you recorded a video, man, but you don't really know about my town. It was a very hostile place as far as you know, going through the town and recording. It didn't seem very welcoming. The town's in horrible shape. A lot of abandoned buildings, a lot of really negative vibes. I just didn't like the place, and it's located quite in the middle of nowhere. So this town isn't on my list of places I would want to move to. Therefore, I'm recommending that if you're moving to Alabama, this one you might want to pass on. There are a lot of amazing small towns in Alabama. This one isn't one of them. The next town over, Union Springs, was amazing, but Hurtsboro wasn't. Number 5 is Lanette. Now, this town is another town where they really got mad when I went there and did my video about their town. They said, hey, you're making our town look bad. You know, we're actually really good people. And again, I'm not criticizing the people. I'm looking at the structures. I'm looking at the things to do. I'm looking at how people are living. Are they getting ahead? Are they making good income? You know, is there upward mobility in this community? And after looking at all those factors, it's not a place I would recommend anybody to move to. The only real source of employment in this area is a Kia plant, which is on the Georgia side. And I believe if you live in Alabama but work in Georgia, you have to file taxes in both states. Both states have an income tax. So if you live in Lanette and work in that Kia plant, I'm going to assume that you're paying income taxes for 2 different states. And while the Chattahoochee River separates Alabama from Georgia, there's a little section north of Lanette called West Point that's on the Alabama side, but it belongs to Georgia. Now, most towns in Alabama would get in arms and they would take that land back and say, hey man, this is on our side of the river. But Lanette isn't really interested in going to war with Georgia. I'm sure other parts of Alabama would take that back. Number 4 is Prichard. Now, I've heard some amazing things about the Mobile area of Alabama, and it's been a few years since I go down there, so I'm really excited to check out the Mobile area. This area is notorious, even being on documentaries, for the poverty, the crime, and just the general lack of infrastructure in this area. It appears that the highway systems were built right through the hoods, leaving these residential areas completely incommunicated from the traffic flow and thus leaving the businesses to starve. It seems like this might have been done on purpose many years ago to kind of discriminate the community. So it's a very oppressed community that hasn't really had an opportunity. And there's a lot of pride here in their community as well. There's an area, I think it's called Africa Town, not too far away. There's a lot of fascinating history here and people that are proud of their community. Unfortunately, it's a place that just has been abandoned, forgotten. A lot of people are moving out, and the highway system has kind of split the community in a really bad way. Lack of investment, people moving out, stuff like that. All that leads to a really tough place. And the housing conditions seem to be unbearable. A lot of the houses are abandoned. The town is really in bad shape, and it's definitely not one town that you want to move to. So, moving on to number 3 is Selma, Alabama. Now, this one really even hurts that have to put on the list. You would think a town with so much history would be a type of place where people would want to invest to. And just, I mean, it's still a tourist attraction. And a lot of the towns on this list are definitely not tourist attractions. Selma is a tourist attraction. People do purposely go to Selma. I've been in Selma and I've seen tourists there taking pictures. You would think with the history of this place that the community would invest into it and say, okay, this town has significance. We're going to make sure that this town is, something presentable, but it's really not, and that's really embarrassing. I've been in towns in Alabama that are over an hour away from Selma, and I talk to the people there at the restaurant or the gas station. They're like, oh, I live in Selma. I'm like, what? You drive all the way here for employment and you live in Selma? And yeah, they have to drive into other small towns that are insignificant for jobs because there's really not that much opportunity in Selma. Now, on the bright side, it's not too far from Montgomery, so I watched a documentary, I think it was by Charlie Boo, another great YouTuber that I love to watch, and the young men were saying there's no opportunities in Selma, and there really aren't, but you get in an old car and you can drive to Montgomery, not that far away, and there are jobs in Montgomery, so sometimes it's up to you whether you want to get out or not. Number 2 is Anniston. Now, this one I haven't been to yet, but the town is notorious for being in bad condition, and we're going to go see it in person very soon. Between Birmingham and Atlanta, you would think that this town would have a lot of action going on, but it seems like it doesn't. Most of the houses are in really bad shape, and all the other YouTube lists have Anniston on them, so it's only fair that I throw them in the mix as well. From very bad living conditions to some of the highest crime rates in the entire country. Yes, not in the state, not in the region. Some of the highest crime rates in the entire country. Yes, Anniston, Alabama has a crime problem. On the bright side, it is close to the Talladega National Forest, and there's a lot of stuff to do in the area if you like nature. Unfortunately, the town itself has a lot of issues. The real estate prices in the city are extraordinarily low, even for Alabama standards, so that shows that there's definitely no desire of people to want to live in this area. Stop typing local person from Anniston. You don't have to go on a rant about how your town's amazing. It's just a YouTube list. This isn't like I work for the FBI or something. It's just a YouTube video. It's just my opinion. You don't have to get mad at me. I'm just a YouTuber. Number 1 is Phenix City. Now, this city left a very sour taste in my mouth. When you enter Alabama from Georgia, you get a welcome to Alabama fine in the mail. Yes, I got a ticket. My only ticket I've gotten so far in Alabama was in Phenix City, and it was one of those shady red light cameras. Man, I hate those things. This town has a horrible history from being a mob town to, well, it's still a mob town if they're sending you a ticket in the mail. Massive housing projects right in the center of town. Now, that's normal for Alabama. Most cities in Alabama have public housing. but they're not like smack dab in the middle of the city. The town is in bad shape. The people that I met were actually not that friendly. Columbus, Georgia is what it's attached to, and that's not another town that I was impressed by very much. Another town where the locals absolutely hate me because I just say my honest opinion about the places I go to. I mean, everybody does that. When you travel, you say, oh, this is nice. Oh, look at this flower. Look at this mountain. Or you say, lock your doors. This place is scary. So everybody does that when they travel. And, well, the only difference between me and other people is that I put it on YouTube because that's my job. To talk crap about your town sucks. Oh man, you're horrible. You made a YouTube video talking about my town. I want to send this to my cousin. Okay, don't be mad at me for being a YouTuber. I'm actually doing something with my life. Be mad at the people that are selling crack in your neighborhood. Those are probably the people you want to be mad at. So don't be mad at the reporter who says your town sucks. Be mad at the people that are doing bad things in your town, like burning down abandoned houses and pushing poison into their own communities. Those are the people you need to be mad at. So don't be mad at me because I made a video about how your town sucks. Be mad at the person who litters, who dumps, who does graffiti, who does all the bad things like crime that make your city have a high crime rate, which was a factor that we considered in making this video. So instead of being mad at me, the YouTuber, for making a video about your town, why don't you just be mad at the people that are making your town bad? Because there's towns where they don't have as many of those people. And I get it. A lot of times people that live in these communities are trapped. They have to deal with the bad element that's there. But getting mad at a YouTuber because he made a video about your town, that's not really the most productive way to go about making your town a better place. Criticism is not a bad thing. You know, criticism gives you an opportunity to see things the way other people see them. And it creates an opportunity for improvement. A lot of the places where I've made videos about have actually made incredible changes. I used to live in Naples, Florida. I moved away from there because of the economical inequality. It is the third most economically unequal place. You know, the 1% makes 73 times more than the other 99%. So the economical equality of where I used to live in Florida was horrible. And actually the entire state of Florida has the worst economical inequality of any state. It used to be New York and Connecticut, and Florida is by far surpassed those states in economical inequality. What that means is that the rich are very rich and the poor are very poor. But Naples, Florida, although being a place that has a lot of economical inequality, when I've made a video explaining some of the problems that the community has, they've done some incredible things in response to my video. They've made documentaries showing the importance of Latinos in the community. They've also made there's a railroad track that I suggested they turn into a walking trail, and sure enough, that's what they're doing with it right now. So some places take the criticism as an opportunity to improve, while other places take criticism as, let's attack this person because they're talking bad about my town. So instead of doing something about the person criticizing your town, do something about the situation that's making your town bad. So in the future, when we make these videos, your town's not on the radar.